Hi there, I go by the name The Celtic Storyteller, and welcome to this video, which is going to be all about, or mostly about, the Tarot Gaeilge, which is a Rider-Waite Smith translation that I purchased recently and I'm absolutely delighted with. But I am going to compare it with my original set of tarot cards, which I bought 30 years ago. This was the deck that I was trying to match when I bought this, but it was also the deck that I was trying to match when I bought this and when I bought this. And these two don't match, spoiler, okay? And this is a perfect match, all right? So if you're only going to watch 1 minute of the video, the Gaeilge Tarot Rider-Waite Smith is fantastic, and I will have a link below as to where you can buy it. It was translated by a woman called Regina de Burca, so I'll leave her information below. And I got it in Laura Gaeilge, or Laurelyn Gaeilge, I can't remember what the name of the shop. But yeah, so if that's all you're going to watch, and that's all you want to know, the Gaeilge Rider-Waite Smith is a perfect match for the old Rider-Waite Smith deck, okay? Well, with tiny differences, which I'm going to point out. And I will also compare the original Rider-Waite Smith deck to this deck and this deck, the Radiant and what they call the original, but it isn't really. And I am going to cover things like the quality of the deck, the pictures on the front, the pattern on the back, all in comparison with each other and the original deck. I will talk a little bit about language, and I will talk about, and a funny thing, difference with the patterns on the back of these two, even though they're quite similar, okay? So one other thing I'll say is you don't have to be an Irish speaker to enjoy this deck. My Irish isn't very good at all, and I absolutely am delighted that I have this deck now. I'm just going to put that there. And I'll run you through the Gaeilge Rider-Waite Smith first. I'll just clear this up, and I will then show you these other two decks, just to compare them where it's necessary for me to show you what I mean about the colour and the quality of the pictures and the back of the deck and that kind of thing. Okay, so you can see I have the original Rider-Waite Smith deck here in front of me, and this is our control deck. This is my baseline. This is what I was looking to replace because a couple of them are slightly damaged. You know, this is slightly older. It looks a little bit grubby. You can probably see, even though I wash my hands every time I go to use the deck, it does get a little bit dirty over time. And this is the Tarot Gaeilge. So I'm going to line them up together and you will see what a fantastic match the Tarot Gaeilge is. And as I'm going through these, I'll just also show you why I'm making such a big deal of it by showing you the other decks as well, some of the other decks as well. So first off, if you're wondering about the quality of the cards, I'll just show you the Fools here. So this is the older deck. I'm going to keep the older deck actually in my left hand, and this is the newer deck, and the actual quality of the cards is almost exactly the same. The new one feels a little bit slippier, if you know what I mean, but the thickness of the cards is, I'd say, the exact same. My older deck, like I was saying, is possibly looks a bit grubbier. If I'll hold them up together actually, so you see what I mean. You know, the way the sides get a bit grubby over time, and the new one obviously is nice and white. I actually haven't been using it as much as I want to because I was waiting to make this video. So the thickness of the cards, I'd say, is almost the same, and this has a newer feel to it. And the other thing that I think was really, really important was the colour and the clarity. And just the way they were, like, obviously the language is different, but you know, there isn't a huge difference in the bordering of the cards either. So this to me was huge. The fact that their match was exactly what I was looking for, and it is actually hard to get that match anywhere else. And I'll just quickly show you the Fool in the other two decks, so you'll see what I mean. And then I'll kind of flick through the Major Arcana for you. So this is the Radiant Rider-Waite Smith here. So you might like those colours, but the border is a lot bigger on these, and the people are actually a little bit smaller because of that. And this is the original Rider-Waite Smith deck. They call it the original, so it's not my original. And it's atmospheric, okay, I think is a nice way of explaining it. I don't really like the colours on these, but then again, I'm particular, and you know, the faces are a lot redder and darker, as if they're embarrassed. So let's go back to the decks, the main decks that we're comparing, and that is you see, I can't even tell which switch. Okay, this is the new Gaeilge Rider-Waite Smith. So I'm just going to flick through the Major Arcana here for you, and actually I'll do it with the older one, so you see why I'm saying they're exactly the same. So this is the Fool and the Fool, the Magician and the Magician, I'll go a little bit quicker now in a minute. These two. Okay, I have to show you the which one is it here? The High Priestess here. So you'll see like how bad a difference it can be. So the colours are really, really different in this other deck here and the original. Actually, this isn't the original. This is the US Gaeilge one. So you see they're very similar. There's a lot of green used in these decks. Now, while I like green, this just felt a little bit off to me. Like when I'd pick a card, I think there's something wrong with that, just because I'm so used to seeing the original colour. So if something like that is important to you, then, obviously it's really important not to get one of those other decks, but maybe to stick to these original or US Gaeilge. So there again, this is the original. This is what they call the original Rider-Waite Smith deck, but it's I don't like the colour. And this is the US Gaeilge Rider-Waite Smith. And this is actually the only card so far that I've noticed has a colour difference. So the original has a kind of a yellowy colour, and this one here has a little bit of a greeny colour. And that is, if you were to play Spot the Difference, that's the only difference that I have spotted. So I'll go through a few more of these now here. I've got those out of order. If you want to see the differences in the Major Arcana, which I think a lot of people look at when they're choosing cards. So I'll flick through these quickly because I want to get on to some of the other things that I wanted to discuss around the cards. Strength. The Hermit. Sorry. Oops. The Wheel of Fortune. Justice. I've just realised I'm putting my finger over the writing, so if you wanted to see the names, I'm making a botch of it for you, sorry. You might be wondering why I just don't record this again, but this is actually my third time making this video. Just things have happened. Look, see, upside down. Just between one thing and another, I've had to re-record it. So if I'm making any mistakes this time, I'm just going to keep going. Here we go. Star, the moon. Of course, my moon has been burnt. It's like it got too close to the sun. the sun, and Judgment, and then the World. Okay, so look, they're brilliant. They're the exact same as far as I can tell, more or less. Like I say, there was one or two differences, or there was one difference there in the colour of the Empress's chair. But other than that, I am so pleased with this new deck, I just can't tell you. And that is because these other decks that I got have very, very different colours. And, you might love this now. So if you do, this one is the original Rider-Waite Smith deck. They call it the original. Like I say, it's not my original. And then just to give you a look at the Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot, if that's something you're interested in getting. There was another Radiant that I've seen other people using that's completely different to this and doesn't have the white borders around it and is really radiant. Like it's beautiful, but this wasn't it, unfortunately. So that's what I thought I was buying actually when I bought this. I just needed another deck for kind of travel deck and for using with other people, because I don't like to use this deck with other people because I've had it for over 30 years. So it's very personal to me. I use it in my videos, but I don't use it with other people. So the other thing I wanted to show you about the cards now was the back of the deck. So again, to me, I'm just so very particular, okay, that the back of the deck was really important to me. So this is the old back and this is the new back. So you see they're more or less exactly the same. This is brighter because it's a newer deck. This might just be older because, like I say, it's an older deck and I've used it a lot. But the really interesting thing about the back of the deck for these two particular decks is when you look at this and I look, when I'm choosing a card and I'm going like this, there's kind of a difference between the pattern on the back of the deck here. So you see the way the black and the black line there isn't exactly a match for that black line there. And I think somehow subconsciously when I'm looking at the cards, that helps me choose a random card. I mean, sometimes I kind of go by feel as well. But when you fan the back of the new deck, it's a completely different experience. And it's actually kind of fascinating. And it's really, you know, the perfectionist in me is going, wow, it's so perfect. It's so neat. It's so well matched. So, you know, you also couldn't cheat, you know, if your mind subconsciously is finding patterns here and sort of, you know, reading, like you're reading language you don't know, you know, like you're just kind of reading the back of the cards without knowing you're able to read them. You know, I don't think I can, but like if you were worried about that, well, then this one is great because it's just all the same. You know, and like I say, if you're kind of a perfectionist, it just looks really, really good. So again, that might be something for a card reader like myself, you know, just in the way you view the cards. It's very interesting, I think, because a lot of the time you're looking at the cards from the back. So the back of the cards is really important. And that is why I'm going to pull out these again and show you why I was so disappointed. Like at the back of the cards, it's like they're wrong, you know. Now, look, I know it's a newer deck and it's a different deck and this might be lovely to some people. But again, it didn't feel genuine. It's got the border on the back, you know. So if you were looking for this original kind of look and feel to your cards, you won't get it. You won't get it exactly in that deck. And in this one here, again, like just a completely different pattern on the back. So if you're like me and the pattern on the back of your cards of a Rider-Waite Smith deck is really important to you, then all of these, I think, things that I've pointed out, I'm not just being super particular. Well, I am being super particular, but you know, I have a reason for it. So, hello, this is me tomorrow. So the video you were watching was recorded yesterday for me today, and there was a couple of things that I forgot. You're going to see that I've added bits to the end where I go through each and every card, because some people like to see that, and I'm comparing all 4 decks, but I'll leave that at the end because that's not for everybody. And the one other thing that I wanted to show you was the fanning the cards when the deck is stacked all together. I know I did a little bit of this, and I'll probably chuck this part of the video in at that part where I'm showing you the fanning of the decks. So this is my original tarot cards. I know it looks a little bit grubby, so you can't see what it would look like from the side because of that tiny bit of dirt. But as I was saying, when you fan the cards all together like that, you know, you can see, you know, your eyes might be drawn to kind of the little differences in the pattern. All right, I'll just chuck that up there. But these cards are so nice. As you can see, they're all clean and they're so even that you can see the pattern along the side as well. So that's something that I wouldn't have shown you yesterday, but it is really nice. Whee, look, you can do lots of lovely funny things with it, you know, like that. It's kind of mesmerizing, isn't it? Okay, and I'll fan the cards for you. So wow, look at that. Isn't that amazing? It's lovely. So you might like, look, I don't know if they sell this deck anymore, but I'm super pleased with this deck and it's really lovely. And like I say, your eyes wouldn't be drawn to the differences in the pattern the way they are to this one. But my eyes are drawn in a different way to these cards. Plus, I kind of use my hands and feel a lot. Not always sight, a lot of the time. It's feel, actually. So depending on how you read your cards, I thought you might like to see that. And I'll just show you the other 2 decks as well, just for comparison, okay? But, you know, the main comparison was between these 2 decks because really and truly I've been trying to find a match for this tarot deck for quite a while. And, you know, in getting these 2, I have to say I was slightly disappointed, as I've already mentioned. So, look, nothing spectacular in the side of that deck. And, you know, if you like the back of this deck, well, there you go. What do you think? All right, and then I'll do the other deck, the final deck, the Radiant. So again, nothing fantastic on the side, just plain, relatively clean. And that's what they feel like and look like fanned. Spanned, I was going to say, oh, look at that. Because I've been comparing all the decks together. One of these got stuck when I was tidying up, okay? So will we see what it is? The Hermit. That could be a sign for somebody. Very interesting. That's an important card for me. So I'll put that back there. So each deck has on the bottom right hand side here the copyright symbol with the year and the publisher. So just get that in focus there for you. Can you see it? It says 1971 US Games. So this is what I call my original tarot deck. So that's what we're trying to replicate, the 1971 one. This Irish Gaeilge one has the same year. So if you see let me see, get that in focus for you. 1971 as well as 2019. So 2019 is the year that it was translated as Games. So this one here, you would have thought, well, it can't be the 1917 one, but actually they do have 1971 US Games here, copyright symbol, but you know, it is different. And then this final one here, which was the Radiant one, 2003 US Games. That's everything. We'll go back to the rest of the video. So let me just go through, you know, some of the wands here. Actually, I'll do because I don't want to bore you with every single one of them, because it is all the same deck in a way. But just looking at the color of these ones, so I'm going to put. So this is our Radiant one here. So I'll do our Radiant one over here, and this is the original Rider-Waite Smith. Okay, so I'll just flick through some of these so you get a look for the color and the difference. And you know, it's not a good match. So let's just take out our 5 here on our old deck. You know, 5 here on the new deck is the same. So, you know, colors. So the real thing that kind of like stumped me on this deck here, which is called the original, is that it's green. So a lot of places where it should be blue, it's green. And I like green, but just again, it just wasn't for me. So that's all I'm going to go through the flick through of those ones. And just, yeah, you see, like I'm looking at them, I actually sometimes can't tell the difference. That's how good the new Gaeilge Tarot Rider-Waite Smith deck is. So the only other thing I want to cover is the language of the new deck, the Tarot Gaeilge. So I'm going to clear all of this up, and I'm going to show you why I think it would actually be quite easy if you were to learn how to say the names of the cards Gaeilge, because that's actually not, you don't have to learn 78 of them. So let me just clear this up here first. Okay, so here we are. This is the Tarot Gaeilge again, and if you're wondering how to pronounce all the words, don't look at me because my Irish isn't very good at all. But I will leave a link to Regina de Burke's website and to her Instagram. She may have resources there, or she may have resources there in the future. You know, there's lots of good Irish sites online that would help you with the pronunciation and stuff. But I will help you a little bit, and a lot actually, because you don't have to learn 78 cards. So there's 21 cards here, and the Fool, so 22 I suppose. And you may find that some of these words you know already if you have a little bit of Irish yourself. I can tell you now, I don't know many myself. I know Bon is woman, so Bon Imperial, I think that is, but you know, like I said, don't go to me for pronunciation. But I know Nearth is, and again, my pronunciation might be wrong, so forgive me, is strength. You know, so you might have 1 or 2 of these words yourself in your back pocket, you know. I don't know why they didn't teach us how to say temperance in Irish in school. I don't know. It's funny, isn't it? Realta is star. Again, pronunciation, sorry. Gaeilge for moon, on green for the sun. So for me, there might be like a handful, like 3 or 4 that I don't have to relearn. Maybe I should learn how to pronounce them properly. You know, but say that you have to learn the 22 of those, and then you have, in a way, you don't have to learn all of the court cards, because you have to learn the 4 suits, how to say them Gaeilge. I don't know how to say it. I say it's flask, okay, or cruach. I should probably say nothing because my pronunciation is so bad, but you just have to learn how to say wands in Irish, cups, swords and pentacles. And after that, you just need to learn how to say the aces, which is a hen. And you might know that from your Irish dancing, hen though 3, okay, so it's a hen and then the suit. And then the rest of the cards here don't have any writing in Irish until you get to the court cards. So when you get to the court cards, you know, then you have your page, your knight, your queen and your king. Now I would know re is king in Irish, and in that way the Irish words that I do know and their associations, so the re would be like a high, like for me I would remember the High Kings of Ireland, and that brings another depth to the cards. So that's why, just another reason why I love the fact that they're in the Irish language. So anyway, you just need to learn the word for page, for knight, for queen and king. And once you've learned the word for wand, because you've already learned the word, say, for wand, cups, swords and pentacles. So in that way, you don't have to learn all the 16 court cards. You just need to learn the 4 suits, and then how to say the 4 courtiers, is it? The 4 court people. So that's 8. and you've got 22 here, so that's about 30. And then a hain, you know, I mean, and I've just told you how to say hain, so you don't need to learn that, you know. So like you could actually probably learn it in a month if you were going to commit yourself to learning one word a month. So look, that is hopefully a little trick to getting through learning how to use the cards in Irish, at least how to say their name. Now there is a book that comes with it, and this is Os Gaeilge as well, so great if you already have a bit of Irish and you can actually learn how to describe what the cards mean in Irish, if you know, because even if you speak Irish it might be hard to do that, because again they don't really teach tarot descriptions in school for some reason. So there you go, if you can speak Irish, that's another benefit to the pack. It has all of that Os Gaeilge and translated well, I believe. So look, that is hi there, it's tomorrow me again. This seemed like a really good place to stick in a little bit of the footage that I took at the start of the month, which was my first failed attempt at this video, where I actually show you the unboxing of the deck. So you see the extra couple of cards that come with it. One of them talks about Pamela Coleman Smith. And the other thing that I wanted to say was, when I was counting up how many cards you had to learn and Irish words you had to learn, I forgot to mention that you'd obviously need to say Haindó Trí Carcúg Sé Seach Thugtaí Ide. So that's counting up from 1 to 10 in Irish. You'd probably also want to be able to count up to 22 if you were to give the numbers of the Major Arcana as well. So there's a little bit extra in there, I know, but numbers, people tend to learn numbers, so hopefully that would be easy enough for you. Again, let's go back to yesterday's video. That's probably all I really wanted to cover. The back of the cards, the pattern on the back of the cards, they're the same, but they have an interesting slight difference. The colour and clarity and the quality of the cards is fantastic. So if you're looking for an Irish tarot deck, I would highly, highly recommend this. I'm not affiliated now with the girl who's created them, translated them, so you know, that's nothing got to do with me. I just was looking for a replacement for my old deck and I found it and I'm delighted, so I wanted to share that with you. Especially because the other cards that I found that say that they're Rider-Waite Smith outside are not the Rider-Waite Smith that I would be used to. So if how a deck looks is as important to you as it was to me, then hopefully that's going to be very helpful to you. So listen, that's really it, Sinead. That's all I have for you. If you have any questions now and you know, are wondering about something that I haven't covered here on those kind of extra decks and this, you know, the original and the Irish Rider-Waite Smith, just, you know, you can drop a comment in the comment box below and I'll see if I can answer that question for you. This, just if you were wondering, my original deck, this is the box that came with them. I don't even know. Oh, that must be EN, is it? I'm not even sure. It was £12 punt as it was at the time, and these were first created in 1910, so that's kind of the version that of the deck that I have. And I did buy these here in Ireland. I did buy these here in Ireland. So hello there, this is me tomorrow from when you're watching the video from yesterday, and I realised that it would be a good idea to show you every single card in comparison, because some people like to see that. So I know I went through them in a different way, but this is, you know, for those of you who really want to see every single card compared against the new Tarot Os Gaeilge. So this is the shop that I bought the Tarot Os Gaeilge in, on Shop a Lower, and I'm going to compare the Major Arcana and then I'll go through each of the suits. I'll put this part at the end of the video and timestamp it because not everybody would want to see this. And I'll also show you the comparison of the other two decks that I have as well. So again, that's just for completeness. I will put this section at the end of the video because I know it's not something that everybody would want to see. Okay, so let's start off with the Tarot Os Gaeilge. And I've done this already. And again, I forgot to record it. So I've just had such, you know, weird luck with this video. So I'm going to start from the world and work back, all right? So I'm just going to compare each. And this is really, they really are a great match, as I've said before. And you'll see what I mean when I compare the other decks. Okay. Now you might have noticed earlier on in the video I was saying I couldn't tell the difference. You're probably wondering why I just didn't look at the words in Irish, but when I look at the tarot cards I tend to look at the pictures only because I know the names of all of them, so that's why I kind of I didn't cop immediately. The, you know, the Irish writing is at the bottom. And I've just noticed there again, the only one, or the only other one that you can kind of tell a bit of a colour difference is Judgment, or sorry, Justice. So anyway, it's very slight. And then the one I was saying earlier in the video where the colour difference is there. So isn't that a really good match now, I have to say. And I'll show you the next deck of cards, which calls itself the original Rider-Waite deck. And okay, I'm now going to compare this deck of cards, which calls itself the original Rider-Waite Tarot Deck, against my control deck, the ones I call the original tarot cards. And I'll just work backwards from here. So this is, as I was saying, the green and the blue. Everywhere there's blue in the original deck, it's green in this deck. So it does look a bit atmospheric, but for cards like this one, I think are the biggest difference. You know, I don't think the new cards are drawn as well. But really it is obviously a personal preference. This probably is the biggest difference out of the whole deck, the Justice card. So here we go. Again, the Lovers, I think, has a big difference. And the Empress, you know, quite different. She has a very red face in this one. And, you know, same with the High Priestess. Same with the Magician, and here we have our Fool in comparison. Okay, so that's the comparison with the original Rider-Waite deck. Okay, and the final card by card comparison of the Major Arcana with my original control deck is with the Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot. So here we go, here's our Fool, and the World. Judgment. So I think these are kind of a little bit more cartoony for some reason. That's the way I see them anyway. There you go. Okay, I can only fit, so these are the swords, and I can only fit 3 of the decks in, and I'll do the other deck over the Tarot Gaeilge, I think. So this is the original or control deck at the top here. Okay, that's this deck here. This is the Tarot Gaeilge. So, you know, that's a perfect match for the swords. All right, and this deck below here, again, is what they call the original Rider-Waite Smith deck. All right, and then over that, I'm going to give you the, okay, and then the Radiant Rider-Waite Smith, I'm going to put it over the Gaeilge one here, okay, because we're really comparing everything to the control deck. So just put those to the side. I'm going to do the court cards at the end for you. Now, card. Now, so with this one you can really see the differences. So this is the original Rider-Waite Smith, and these are the other 2 decks that I said I'm not that fond of. So there you go, you can have a good look at the difference in the colours, clarity of cards. One of the other decks you might actually prefer. Now I'm going to do the court cards for this particular deck. So here we go, I'm going to do Page, Knight, Queen, King. To Page, King, Queen. Then we have our Page, Knight, Queen, King. Okay, I have the original, and then the Tarot Gaeilge, I'll just put on top of this here. So Page, Knight, Queen, and King. So there you go, those are the differences. Okay, here are the wands. I'm going to move those down a tiny bit. And again, the first deck here is my control deck of tarot cards, what I call the original. The middle deck here is the Tarot Gaeilge, and very good match, as you can see. The blues are all the same, possibly teensy tiny bit darker would you say? And then this deck at the bottom here that calls itself the original Rider-Waite deck. And as you see, it's replaced the blue with greens. So you could kind of get used to it if you liked it. Again, the people tend to be coloured in a little bit too much, I would say. But, you know, again, it's totally your preference. So I'm just particular, so don't mind me. And this is the, what you call it again? Oh yeah, the Radiant. This is the Radiant. Okay, so again, I just don't have room to do them all, so I'll put it over the Tarot Gaeilge because these two are such a good match. And this is my control deck up here. Now, all right. So if you want to have a good look at that there, you could pause it if you want to. And I'm going to go ahead and do the court cards. So starting off with court cards for this particular deck, which is the Radiant deck, the Page, Knight, Queen, King. And then we'll do this deck here, which is the Rider-Waite original, as they say. Page, Knight, Queen, King. Then we'll do our Tarot Gaeilge, Page, Knight, Queen, King. And our original Page, Knight, Queen, King. All right, so that's the comparison. So again, these ones are, you know, slightly different. These ones are the same. Okay, and here are our cups. Again, at the very top is the original deck, what I call the original deck, and it's my control deck. In the middle here is the Tarot Gaeilge, which is a great match. At the bottom is one of the different cards, the Radiant Rider-Waite Smith. And in my hand here, and I'm going to put this over the deck here, is the what they call the original Rider-Waite deck. All right, so let's add the cups, and I'll add them here to the Gaeilge one in the middle because this is our control deck. So where do we go? Yep, here we are. So again, the blues and greens are different. This deck has greens where there should be blues. Okay, there you go. And now I'll add the court cards. So you have Page, Queen, Knight, King. Here we go. The Gaeilge ones, which are going to be the same here as the original. So I'll do the original on the top here so you can see what a good match they are. And then finally the, you know, this deck, what they call the original. Queen, King, Knight, Page. All right, there you go. Okay, here are our Pentacles. And this deck at the bottom this time is the Radiant. I might have done this the other way around in the other suits. And on top I'm going to put the other one, which is the original. But here's our control deck, what I call the original Rider-Waite Smith. Okay, this tarot deck here. In the middle is the Tarot Gaeilge. At the bottom here is the Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot. And the one I have here in my hand that I'm going to put on top is the original. All right, so here we go. These are a bit out of order. No, this one. Okay, so again, the colours in this are the ones that are most different to everything else. The most different to everything else. And now I'll do the court cards. Whoops. So this is the original Rider-Waite Smith. There you go. This is the Gaeilge. This is the control deck, what I would call my original, and this is the Radiant. So King, Knight, Page and Queen. Yes, so Sinead, that's all for now. Slán go fóill, which is bye for now in Irish, and I am wishing you all the best. Thank you. What do you do when you know you've missed out on the future you were meant to have? I waited, and with the first breath of possibility, I jumped, sink or swim.